Hello everyone, myself Dr. Sonam Gupta, and today I am here to discuss a topic of stepwise project planning in software project management. As we all know that software project management consists of three words, which is software, second one it is project, and third one it is management. So software, what is a software? Basically it is a collection of programs which is made to make a task easier. That is a software. Project means which comprises of many of the softwares, like for example if I say a library management system, so it is having multiple interfaces, multiple softwares which are clubbed together to make a particular system. And the final the term comes to be the management. Now what is management? Management basically means how the project will be managed, what are the resources will be there, what are the risks in that particular project, how many people will be going to be involved in that project, how the things will go on, what will be the time taken to complete that project, what will be the cost that will be included to complete that particular project. So all these things comprises of software project management. For that, the one complex topic comes out to be stepwise project planning, which means how we are going to manage the project step by step. That means from where we are going to start the project until where we are going to finish it. So basically what are the aspirations of stepwise? First one, it comes out to be practicality. Now what is practicality? As we can see, for this practicality, here we try to answer the question that what do I do now? What is the task that I have to do now? Suppose I am starting from the initial phase of any project. Now what is the task that I have to perform? First one, what we have to do? We have to gather the requirements of that particular project. So this is the task. That first one, it is a practicality to know about the project. Second one, it is to be the scalability. Scalability, as we know that what is means to be scalable means, suppose a project which is useful for a small amount of people. Now I want to expand that particular project for more number of people. So will that project will work completely fine as it was working for smaller number of people or not? So that is scalability. Like suppose today I had developed a project for suppose 10 person. Now I want that project to be expanded for 100 persons. In case of scalability, the performance of the project should be same as it was giving for the 10 person. Third one, it is the range of the application. That what is the range of the application means till how much extent that particular application can be used. Like for example, if we talk about railway reservation system, so there are many sites which are available just to show that what are the various trains which run between various cities, what are the timings, what are the seats available. But there are a few sites as well for reservation, which includes the payment gateways as well. So what is the range of the application, what is the scope of the particular website till where the user can apply to it. And finally it comes out to be the accepted techniques like the borrowed from prince, etc. So these are the various techniques. This is the particular overview of the stepwise project planning. So first one, we initially start from the select project, which is the type 0. Like this is the step 0 from where we are going to start it. This is the select project. From select project, that means we are selecting which project we have to do. What is the main aspiration of the company in which we can do that particular project. So after selecting that project, it comes out to be identify the project objectives, like what are the objectives of the project, for whom we are going to develop that project, what are the requirements of the project, will my company be able to complete that project in a stipulated time or not. So these are identifying the project objectives. After selecting the project and identifying the objectives, next comes out to be identify the project infrastructure. Identify the project infrastructure means, see, the infrastructure can be in terms of the hardware as well as in the case of software. So what are the things available to me if I want to develop that particular project? Things can include the resources as well. And if I am talking about the resources, then resources can include the staff member, the developers, testers, maintainers, project leads, project managers, etc., which can be included in it. So we have to identify the project infrastructure, whether my company is able to develop that project within a stipulated time and by following all the objectives, by passing the objectives which are the requirements for the client. So these three are the first and the foremost step if I want to complete any project. After this, we want to analyze the project characteristics. Now, I know what are the requirements for the project. I also know that what are the basic requirements which I have to use for this particular project by the help of project infrastructure. Now, what comes in the project characteristics? The project characteristics means we are going to identify what are the, like suppose there are two types of requirements, functional, and second one it is the non-functional. Now, we can identify in this project characteristics, we are going to identify both of these characteristics, that what are the functional requirements of the project, and second one, what are the non-functional requirements of the project. Fourth one, it is identifying the products and the activities. After identifying the projects, we are going to make a WBS type of thing. WBS, what is WBS? It is a work breakdown structure. In this work breakdown structure, I am just having a glimpse of what I have to do. Now, to do a particular thing, I need to know what are the activities in it, what are the deliverables in it, what are the products in it. So, by the help of this WBS, all these things can be divided. Like suppose I have to develop a product 1, product 2 or product 3. Now, to develop these types of products like product 1, 2 and 3, I need various activities as well. So, how this particular product will be developed? This will include the activities in it. So, this is how this particular project is going to be overlooked. After identifying the product and the activities, I need to identify that for how long this effort will be taken, what will be the effort for each and single activity. Because if I know that what is the effort required for this particular activity, then I can simply calculate what will be the effort required to make this product. Okay, now if I know that what are the efforts required to make all these products, I simply know what are the effort required to make a particular project. So, basically what is this? This is a bottom up approach which we are using in it. After identifying the effort for each activity, we have to identify what are the risks in it. Like suppose risk, it is divided into various infrastructure like risk identification, risk removal, risk detection and all those things, which we will be going to cover in another slides. Now, if I want to identify the risk, by the help of identifying the risk, I can take the precautions like pre-measurements as well, so that that risk does not occur in the project, or if it happened to be occur, then I can take the remedial actions for it, because I was already aware that this type of risk may appear in the particular project. After identifying the risk, we are going to allocate the resources to all these activities, because what we have done till now, we have identified the project, allocated the identified the resources, activities, products and all those things. Now, to develop that particular product or to develop that particular activity, I need the resources. Now, resources, it can be in the terms of hardware, software, person, anything, it can be the resources. We have to allocate the resources to all these activities which we are going to develop. After that, we are going to review and publicize the plan. All this plan, that is from step 0 to step 1, this is a particular plan. We are going to review that plan and then we are going to publicize it. After it, we are going to execute the plan which we have developed. This particular plan, after being passed by the stakeholders, by all the members which are involved, then the plan is going to be executed, and from there the lower level planning will be started. Lower level planning means the planning will be done for each and every single activity. So, this is how it going to be take place. For the lower level detail, every time what will happen, we have to identify the product and the activities for each and single lower level, and then again the simple cycle, this cycle will be repeated all over again and again. So, for this, for each activity, we have to identify the risk and then we have to change the effort for it, because if the risk is high, then the effort will definitely be increased in it. So, this is a particular overview how the stepwise project planning will be used. Now let's consider a simple scenario how this stepwise project planning can be used in any project. Now the scenario can be like, suppose we are having a hardware or a software engineering company, and that particular company is comfortable in C language. After that, teams are selected for the individual projects and some friction has been between the team members. Like for example, I need to select a project, and for that particular project I need a team. Now I have selected some team members which are having some friction in between them. So what we have to do, we have to resolve those frictions. And finally, to resolve that friction, what HR has done, HR has suggested psychometric testing to select that particular team. Now what is the psychometric testing? So if I talk about psychometric testing, it means that gathering the people having the same psychology. Same psychology people means in terms of their skills, in terms of their knowledge, in terms of how they think about the company, or in terms of how they are much dedicated about their work. So same psychological people, when they will come together, they will definitely going to make a good team. So this is how HR is going to resolve that particular friction. Now, what is the next scenario in this project? That the software packages to be used to test the stuff. So the software has to be used for it. Next one, Visual Basic suggested as a vehicle for the implementation, since the company is much more comfortable in C language. So it is using Visual Basic for it. And finally, usability is important in the decision to carry out the usability test. So for that, usability test will be done. Now coming to step by step, how this stepwise project planning is going to be used in it. So first step, it is establish the project scope and the objectives, which was the first point in it. So for that, we have to identify the objectives and then we have to measure the various effectiveness for it. Now, how do we know if we have succeeded? So this is the main objective, to know that how I am going to tell that, okay, this objective hasn't fulfilled. How I am going to tell that whether I have a success or a failure. So by that, I need to set up various goals. Now what are the goals? Goals are the ways to reach to the objectives. So every time what I have to do, I have to set up a simple goal. If I have achieved that goal, that means I have a success. Now, what will happen by combining all these goals? Suppose I had set up 10 goals for my project and all those 10 goals has been achieved. So, what does that mean? That I have completed the project and this is how I can say, okay, I have succeeded in this project. If suppose my 2 modules get delayed or failed, so I can also calculate by how much amount or by how much effort I failed that particular module. So this is how I can measure the effectiveness. Next one, it is establish a project authority. That means if I am developing any project, I need to develop that who is the project authority, who is responsible for that particular project. Like if the project comes to a failure, then who is going to be responsible for it? Who was the person who has decided the various objectives? Who was the person who was identifying the risk in that project due to which the project gets failed? So, who is going to responsible? Who is the boss for that particular project? So, in this case of scenario, who can be the boss of the project? The project manager will be the boss of that particular project. Next one, we have to identify all the stakeholders in the project and their interest in it. So, what is the most important thing in it? It is the stakeholder. The key point, or we can say the key term which comes in the project, it is the stakeholder. Who is a stakeholder? Stakeholder is a person who is directly or indirectly affecting that particular project. Now, if I say about a company, now who can be the stakeholders? Stakeholders can be the clients. If I talk because the project is of a client. Next one, who can be a stakeholder? Developers, the testers, the project manager, the team lead, the managers who are handling those project managers, the BOGs who are governing the company. All these are the stakeholders. Now we have to identify all these stakeholders and then we have to categorize all these stakeholders into different parts. Now, who will be affected or involved in the project? Like, who is directly going to be involved in the project? And second one, who is not directly involved in the project, but he is being affected. Like, for example, if I talk about the BOG of any company, it is not directly involving in the project. They are not developing the project, but they are being affected in terms of the cost and in terms of the revenue which is being generated for that particular project. Now, more things have to become. Modify the objectives in the light of the stakeholder analysis. Now, till here what we have done, we have identified all these things, we have identified the stakeholders and all. Now, what will we do? We will give all these objectives which we have set up in step number 1.1 to these stakeholders. Now, these stakeholders, they will review that particular objectives, and then they can make the changes. If they ask to make the changes, we have to make all those changes, making the stakeholders in concern. The stakeholders cannot be ignored at any point of time. Now, do we need to do the things to win over the stakeholders? What are the things that we can do so that the stakeholders get impressed? Because they are also giving the finance to that particular project, they are giving the time, they are giving the infrastructure to make that particular project. So, what are the things that we need to do to win over the stakeholders? After that, we need to, in 1.5, we have to establish the method of communication with all the parties. Like, what are the parties involved in it? Most formally, the team that is developing the project, that is coming into the scene, that how we are going to make the communication between all these parties, between the developers, between the maintainers, the testers, how the testers are going to communicate to the developing team that these many test cases has been failed, or how the developing team is going to tell the testers that to make how the test cases will be developed and all those things. So, for that, what will be the mode of the communication? So, question comes, how do we keep in contact? Along with this, we also need to mention that how the communication between the developer and the client will be taken place, whether it will be done fortnightly or whether the developer will sit at the client side itself. So, these are the questions that come for any project. Next one, it is the project authority. So, like I have discussed, we have to identify the project authority. Now, question comes, what will be a project authority? Should it be a project manager rather than the HR manager? So, see, this depends from project to project. Okay, if the project is of any HR management or management type, then HR manager will be responsible for it, he will be the authority for it. If it is more of a technical part, then the project manager will be responsible. So, it depends from project to project that from whom we are giving that particular authority. Next one, the stakeholders, the project team members to complete online questionnaires like concern about the results. So, these team members have to complete various questionnaire rounds through which they can identify the stakeholders, and along with this they can also identify the interest of the stakeholders in any project. So, stakeholders play an important part for any project. Next one, revision to the objectives, like we have made the changes according to the stakeholders by having the questionnaire. Now, what we are making the objectives, provide the feedback to the team members on the results, so that they can also agree, okay, these were the changes and we should agree on making all these changes. Next one, it is established project infrastructure. We have to establish the link between the project and the strategic plan, like what did they want the project, why did they want the project, why this project is being developed, who is the target audience for it, what will be the benefit if this particular project will be developed. So, this will come under ethical and non-ethical issues as well. Next one, we identify the installation standards and the procedures, that what standards we have to follow, how the installation will be done, whether we are going to give a simple exe file that can be downloaded, or we have to give that particular installation in a package form. For that, training has to be given to the client. All those things comes under how the installation will be done. So, this is a part of the project infrastructure. Next come, identify the project organization, how the organization of the project will be done, where do I fit in, like whether I will be a developer, whether I will be there to collect the requirements from the client, I will be the tester part, or I will be at the maintenance side. So, we have to identify the project organization as well for it. Next one, third step, it was the analysis of the project characteristics. So, we have to identify, we have to distinguish between the project as either objective based or the product based. Okay. Like there is a simple objective to complete a project, like if I have to make lecture classes, for example. So that lecture classes is just for a simple purpose to conduct the lectures, to give the lecture on any particular topic or so to the students. So that is the objective based. Now what comes to be the product based? Like for example, I'm developing a smartwatch. For that smartwatch, I'm developing a software. So that comes into a product based, where I'm giving it as a deliverable, which is in terms of the hardware as well. It can be in the terms of software as well. So that comes under the part of the product based. So we have to identify the project, whether it is an objective based, it is going to fulfill any objective, or it is going to for the product based. Next one, we have to analyze the project characteristics, including user quality based ones, like what is the different about this project. See, there are many products which are available in the market. For example, if I say about a library management system itself, there are multiple projects which are available in the market. Many of the users are using different projects for it. Now, if I am developing the same project, then what will be different in my project, so that the client will definitely use my product itself. So, we have to identify how we can make the project any changes in this project. For that next one, we have to identify the high project level risk as well. What could go wrong, or what can we do to stop it? So these are the risks which are involved in it. What can be the wrong thing which can be done, or what are the measures that I have to do so that anything does not go wrong for it. Next one, we take into account the user requirements concerning about the implementation, how the implementation is to be done, what is the preferred language for the user for that particular implementation. If I am using any language, so what are the hitch that will come to me, so that the particular project may not be completed. So we have to see all these user requirements as well. Next one, we select the general life cycle approach. Like what if I'm developing any project, as we all know, we have to select certain life cycle. So which type of life cycle I'm going to use, whether it will be a waterfall model, incremental model, or the prototype model. There are many more models available for it, like I'm having the spiral model. Along with this, we are having the agile methods as well. So which type of method can be used so that the particular project can be completed with minimum risk and maximum benefit. Last one, review overall resource estimates, that what all these increase the cost. So if suppose any staff person goes on leave or leave the office, then what will be the impact on the project, how the cost of the project will be affected. So this is again a question that how the cost can be increased in this particular project. Now next one, we have to objectives versus products. Like there are some risks which are involved in it. The risk can be like team members, they worry about the implications and do not cooperate. Like they are much more worried that how the project will be completed. If the project is not completed, then what will happen to our job. So these are all the implications that will happening. And to prevent themselves from all these implications, they are not cooperating. So this is the first one. Project managers unwilling to try out the applications, they are not cooperating, they are not trying to try the new applications which are there so that the project can be built effectively. Next one, the developers not familiar with the features of VB. As we have discussed in the initial phase itself, we are developing the project on Visual Basic. Now the developer is not familiar about how this VB will work. So this is again a risk in it. Now the answer for this, whether it will be an evolutionary prototype or so we have to identify. Fourth one, we identify the project products and all those activities. For that, we identify and describe the project product. Like as I have discussed WBS, which is work breakdown structure. Similarly, if I need to identify the product, I need to develop a PBS, which is a product breakdown structure. For example, this is just for testing case. For testing, we are having usability testing. Now, for usability testing, we have to divide it in various categories. Like first one, we have to select the subjects. Then for that, we have to see what are the testing arrangements. So, how the testing can be done. Now, testing can be done by booking a PC, questionnaire design, completed questionnaire, or we are having an analysis report. From that analysis report, these test results will be calculated, and then based on these results, we can make the changes in any deliverable. So this is how we are going to identify the products and the various activities. So, products, what are they? They are based on the result of the activity which we have carried out. They can be, it can be a physical thing, a document, a person, or a new version of any products. So, this is the result which can be of any of the activity which is being developed. Physical thing like an installed PC, document, it can be a logical data structure, person, like any user who is using it, or the product, old version, new version, that means the current version of that particular software. Products, like if I say about activity, the event, the resources, actors, these are not the products. So, what are the products? The products, they are the deliverables or the intermediate, or which we can also term as the modules. So, modules are there through which these products can be defined. Product description, like product identity, which can be there has to be a description like what is the thing which is developed. Derivation, on what are the factors on which it is based on. Composition, that what are the things it composed of, what are the things it is made up of. And the format, it is of the relevant standards, the quality criteria, and then we have to create a PD for the, for example, like test data. This is a simple example which we have just discussed. For that we need, then we will create the product description. Now, for that product description, we have a testing plan. It is the same thing. Select the subjects, questionnaire design, the book machine. Now, for that book machine, select subjects and questionnaire round. For all these, how the testing has been done or how the questions has been done, we have to calculate this complete questionnaire and the test results. So, this is one-to-one interaction between all these blocks. After that, the analysis report will be generated and then the change request will be done. The changes will be done based on both, that is based on the analysis report as well as based on these test results. Then we will recognize the product instances like the PBS and PFD. They probably they are having identified the generic products, and for this we have to identify the modules, like we can say to be module A, module B, any name we can make for it. Then we will produce the ideal activity network, that what will be the activity first which will come out to be, what will be the second activity in the system, how the activities are related, like I cannot start second activity till first is completed, or I can start first and second activity simultaneously. So, this is done by the help of the activity network. So, this is a particular activity network. If I say about like plan the testing, this is the first activity. This activity has to be carried out standalone. Now, these three activities, select subject, design questionnaire and book machine, we can carry out these simultaneously. So, this is having a single level. After all these, what we will be getting? We will be getting to conduct the test. So, test will be conducted on the basis of all these three activities. And then after test will be conducted, only then the results can be analyzed. So, conduct test is on different level and analysis of the test, it is on the different level. After that, we draft the changes request which is there in the system. To see that whether a particular module has been completed or not, various checkpoints has been done. What is the checkpoint? Checkpoint means till here I have completed the project and now I do not have to move backwards. So, like for example, this module has been completed, I had created a checkpoint over here. This checkpoint, what does it mean? If I had reached to this checkpoint, that means these many modules has been completed. So, this is the basic use of making a checkpoint. Stepwise, it was the effort for each and every activity. So, we have to carry out the bottom up estimate, like I have to carry out the effort for the activity, then the effort for the product can be calculated, and finally, I will reach to the project. So, then we will revise to create the controllable activities which are in our hands, which we can complete timely. For that, we break up the long activities into series of smaller ones. So, if I am having a bigger activity, what I can do? I can break these particular bigger activity into smaller activities, and then we can bundle up the short activities, and these short activities will make up the checklist. As for that, we will identify the risk for each and every activity, and the term measure will be in terms of the lost or the money. So, the whether the risk level is high, if the risk level is high, then the cost will also be very much high. So, for that we are having risk reduction and contingency to prevent the risk. After that, we adjust the overall plan and then estimate to take the account of the risk, like trainings can be there and frequent trials can be there of the project, information gathering of the project can be there, so that we can identify what are the risks involved in this particular project. Finally, what the step comes, we allocate the resources, we identify and allocate the resources to the activities, like what can be there, the staff not being available until a later date and non-project activities are there, so that we can manage the activities, how these things will be carried out. For this, we are having Gantt charts, we can have Gantt chart for that. What is there? These are the dates which are available and these are the various activities. Through this bar diagram, we can identify that what are the activities which will be starting first, like 5th of March, this plant testing will be started, and from 12th, after some time, this select subjects will be starting. So, this is more or less like a bar diagram which is there. And then we will review and publicize the whole plan in terms of all the quality aspects. We can document the plan, obtain the agreement, and finally, step 9 and 10, we will execute the plan and create the lower level planning.